Joining us on the show today is one of the best wrestlers in the world. He is a multi-time TNA heavyweight champion, a multi-time TNA tag team champion, as well as a member of the GFW roster. You can see him this Friday and Saturday as a part of the GFW AMP Tour. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Bobby Roode.
How you doing, guys?
Now, we're going to have to begin this interview by talking about Global Force Wrestling. How is it that you got involved with this awesome promotion?
Well, it actually started, with Jeff Jarrett. Basically Jeff has, I've known Jeff for over 12 years, and he was the guy that really gave me my start in this business and gave me a platform to become who I am today in the wrestling business. So I owe a lot of gratitude to Jeff. And when he started GFW, I was always as a friend supported him and the company. And when TNA allowed me to do his shows and to be a part of the GFW events, both the AMP TV tapings that they had in Vegas late last year, and of course with these two live events in Poughkeepsie and in Rahway, I've jumped at the opportunity. Anything I can do to help Jeff, I'm going to do it.
Great. Now, this Friday, January 22nd, you will be a part of GFW's first ever Northeast Tour, live from the Mid-Hudson Civic Center. You'll be taking on GFW Global Force Champion Nick Aldis. You've wrestled Nick before. What do you think it'll take to walk away with the victory here?
Well, Nick and I have, we were in TNA together as well when, Nick came in. He's a younger guy, I have a little bit of experience on him, but, Nick is a great competitor, and he's a champion there for a reason. So, I'm going to be prepared to come in and represent TNA Wrestling and try to take that Global Force championship away from Nick and take it back home to TNA.
Awesome. Now, the very next night, you'll be facing PWS's own Dan Math. How familiar are you with him, and are you worried about the other PWS wrestlers getting involved in your match?
I don't think so. I don't know a lot about Dan. Obviously, he's got a little bit of experience, and I look forward to the challenge. But at the end of the day, guys, I'm a TNA wrestling guy. I'm not so much affiliated with GFW. So I'm not too concerned about anybody getting interfered in my match, and I think a lot of the guys from PWS will have a lot of respect for me and what I've done in the business. I hope, and I hope that night we have a good time, and we'll see what happens in the outcome.
All right. Now, Bobby, you've had very humble beginnings in the world of pro wrestling. You spent a lot of time traveling around and learning your craft right up until probably the remnants of the territory system closed down. Do you think wrestlers who are starting out today and traveling around the independent circuit are getting as much knowledge that you did when you began?
I don't know. I'm kind of out of the loop as far as what's out there for guys to go work as far as an independent scene and to they're learning from. Like you said, I was able to catch on near the dying days, I guess, of the territories. I got to work a little bit in Puerto Rico. I got to work in the eastern part of Canada at a very historic wrestling promotion for Grand Prix Wrestling for Emile Dupree, where I got to learn from a lot of old-time guys. I like to say old-time guys, but guys that were in the business years before me. And, and it wasn't learning, so much in the ring with them. It was learning outside the ring, on the long road trips and at the restaurants, at the truck stops, at dinner. You just pick their brains and you try to learn from them that way. And I'm not sure if that's available nowadays. I hope it is. Because it really benefited me, in the long run. And so I'm not too sure. I hope that's the case. And if it is the case, and there is, some veteran minds and stuff in the locker room, I hope that the younger guys are taking that to their advantage.
Awesome. Now, when you first started wrestling, there's a lot that goes into it. You have to figure out what you're going to try to look like, your style. What was the most difficult part for you to grab a hold of? Because, obviously you're one of the best wrestlers in the world today. And for someone who's listening to this, like just to make them know that it's okay that you even struggled with something?
Yeah, I mean, I struggled with trying to find an identity. One of the things, going back to the previous question, what do I learn from the veterans that I got to work with in my earlier years? It's finding out and learning. Eventually, it took me a while, but less is more. And sticking to the two or three things in every match that you do that people can recognize and that you're really good at. And I try not to, nowadays I try not to do anything that is kind of out of my realm and that I'm not good at. I try to stick to the things that kind of brought me to the dance, so to speak. And once you're able to find your niche, I think things become a lot easier in this business. Promos was one of the things that I really had to work on. The athletic stuff and the in-ring stuff and the psychology and everything like that really came easy to me. I enjoyed studying psychology. I just enjoyed watching wrestling matches. So I would literally sit all day and just watch old wrestling tapes when I was first breaking in. But, one of the things that I kind of struggled with was trying to come up with a character and trying to find an identity with where my promos kind of fit. So that was definitely a work in progress. And it really still is, you know what I mean? I always want to get my promos as best as possible.
Sure. Now, looking throughout your entire career, who would you say has influenced your style as a wrestler the most?
Well, when I first started, obviously a guy that I looked up to was Curt Hennig. Mr. Perfect Curt Hennig was a guy that I had literally. One time I had got 8 full-length DVDs of Mr. Perfect, starting out when his earlier days with his dad in the AWA, and all the way up to his WWF stuff. So I watched hours and hours and hours and hours of him, and as I studied more, I take a lot of pride in watching a lot of Arn Anderson stuff and Rick Rude stuff, and just a lot of guys similar to that. I mean, obviously Ric Flair was a huge influence on me, and just guys like that.
Now, it's no secret that you're Canadian. Why do you think so many amazing wrestlers and historic wrestling moments come from the Great White North?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I get asked that a lot. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's something in the water. I don't know. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of. I actually saw a list the other day of the top 25 all-time Canadian pro wrestlers, and there's a lot of talented guys and a lot of big names that were on that list. I don't know what it is. That's a really tough question to ask. I mean, I think maybe just because we're so passionate about it. I'm not saying that the guys in the U.S. aren't passionate about it, but I think we stand out more because, obviously with the television presence, it's more popular in the U.S. Obviously, of course with WWE. Anyways, it's when you're a Canadian guy in a U.S. company, I think it may stand out a little more. And then when companies come to Canada, it's not like they come to Canada every week. I mean, Monday Night Raw and the Impact tapings and stuff when we were on the road, they would be in cities in the United States, and when they come to Canada, I think they try to make it a little special. And I know that the Canadian fans are always amped up and excited when live wrestling and live television shows especially come to town.
Now, obviously, one of those historic moments was the infamous Montreal Screwjob. As a Canadian, how long did it take you to forgive everybody involved with that terrible thing?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's. I guess I never really. I wasn't at that time. I was almost getting ready to try to get into the business, and so I was. I understood it, but I really didn't understand it, and I still have my. I don't know. It's a weird deal for me. I'm really not sure really what happened that night. Only the people involved really know what happened. But I was obviously a shock. I talked to Jim Ross on his podcast not too long ago, and he asked me the same question. And I remember the exact day and exactly what I was doing and where I was when I watched that go down. And the next night, I actually went to the live Raw in Ottawa, Ontario. So. I was heavily involved in wrestling at the time, as a fan. So it was definitely probably the most shocking moment that I can ever remember in pro wrestling.
Sure. Now, Bobby, you are without a doubt probably one of the greatest wrestlers in the world today. Now, is that hard for you to see that yourself, or are you a fan of your own work? I always ask this, or if I ask an actor a question to where, do you watch your own movies? It's kind of like that same question. I mean, do you watch your own stuff? Are you critical of your own work, or?
Oh, absolutely. I always watch my stuff. I always make sure that I watch my stuff and I watch everybody else's stuff as well. I think that's how you get better, and that's the only way that you can continue to improve in this business. If you didn't watch your own stuff, or if you didn't watch other guys or other matches, or even other companies, I don't. That's the part of the passion that I have for the business. And if you don't have that, maybe I don't know. I think that kind of makes guys that are like me a little better, more passionate, I guess, is the word I'm trying to find. But I always watch my stuff, and I try to watch it by myself. I don't make a big presentation out of it. I don't sit around with friends or family and then watch my stuff. I usually will watch it, and then I'll tape it, and then I'll rewatch it, and I'll rewatch it again from different angles, and just see the stuff that I may have done really good, and then pick apart the stuff that I did really bad, and then take that forward and learn from it, and try to hopefully continue to get better.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the world of professional wrestling, there's some things that are consistent, some things aren't. But in recent years, it seems like fans of wrestling, call them smart marks or internet wrestling fans or whatever, one of the things that seems consistent is they like to complain about TNA. Do you have any idea as to why you think fans spend so much time criticizing the product? I mean, if you start to look back, and we do this quite often, TNA has produced some really amazing things. I mean, great champions, people that went on to go to WWE and all that stuff. Why do you think that fans just seem to have targeted TNA to complain about?
Well, I think, it's just part of being an internet, as you say, internet wrestling fan. They have nothing really better to complain about. Maybe they're just impatient. When you think about it, I mean, TNA's been in existence for 13 years. And in those 13 years, we've done a lot as a company, to be able to grow as a television product from going from, the weekly pay-per-views on Wednesday nights to a late night 1 hour show on Fox Sports Net to Spike TV, to our international growth. When you think about it that way, I mean, the company itself has grown leaps and bounds compared to, WWE has been around for decades, to get to the point that they're at. And, they're obviously, TNA has had a bit of a black cloud over them. And, whether it's the fans view it as, just a smaller company that obviously when you look at WWE, they travel to do their television. Their television tapings are live every week with Monday Night Raw. Their pay-per-views. They have their own network. So I don't know if the wrestling fans are just trying to compare us to WWE, which, you really can't. I mean, we're a wrestling product that it's a smaller wrestling product. We have television. We tape our televisions, and we don't necessarily travel all around every week to do it. I mean, it's just not possible to do that right now financially for the company. But at the same time, it's a good wrestling product. I mean, we have a lot of guys and girls in our locker room that are some of the top wrestlers anywhere in the world, and we go out there every week, and we work our tails off to try to do what we're told to do, and to try to perform to the best of our ability and give the fans a great wrestling show. So, as far as the fans and what they think, we can't change what they think. We just hope that they can tune in every week and watch our show and see, the talent and the effort that we're all putting out there.
Sure, definitely. Now, you're one of the TNA originals. You've been with the company for over 12 years now. What do you think the most important thing is that you've learned from your time in TNA?
It's kind of evolved, as I've been there such a long time, like you said, 12 plus years. So, when I first got there, there's a lot of veterans in the room, that I kind of looked up to and was kind of, surrounded myself with and learned from. And I've kind of maybe taken that role on a little bit more, as being there so long and having the experience that I've had and as a world champion in bigger matches and, tag team champions and being able to travel and perform in front of larger crowds and being a part of the ups and downs really of this company. So I guess I've just taken on that kind of that veteran role, which is kind of cool. And try to help as many of the younger guys that want the help that come to me. I try to help them as much as I possibly can.
Now, TNA just kind of had another makeover. They're featured on pop television now, and there's some new talent that's coming in, and there's some talent that's been there for a while, but maybe aren't at the main event status right now. Do you see any specific people that you've worked with maybe or haven't got the chance to work with yet, but you see like that they may become a big star in the future?
Well, I mean, there's obviously guys like there's been guys there that have been there and are just kind of not, I don't want to say spinning their wheels, but are just trying to getting their niche now. You know what I mean, and getting to showcase what they have. I mean, guys like Robbie E, who has been there for a while and was kind of stuck with that New Jersey type character for a while, and has kind of came into his own lately and has had a lot of great television matches. And a guy like Eli Drake, who's pretty new, and I got to work with on a couple of live events. Who's super talented and has an amazing in-ring personality as well. So I think he's got a really, really bright future ahead of him as well. So there's a lot of guys, that are set, in the next little while to take on a more prominent role in the main event, hopefully. And Jesse Garza is another guy that comes to mind. He's got a great look, and I think with a little bit more experience, I think he's going to be a guy that people are going to be seeing in the main event scene as well.
Great. Now, on TV the other night, you had a Beer Money reunion. How does it feel to be back with James Storm? And are you guys going to be making a run for those tag team titles anytime soon?
Well, I think anytime you're in a tag team situation, and I think that's the main goal, right? As I always said, if you're not in this business to be a champion, and you're in the wrong business, whether it's as a tag team or as a singles competitor. So obviously that's the goal. James and I are just kind of getting reunited with each other now. So it's the first time we've been back together in over 5 years. And as everybody knows, the split wasn't the nicest type of split. We became bitter enemies, of course, for many years. And so we're just trying to find ourselves again and really kind of connect and get the team rolling again. And obviously having tag team gold for a sixth time would be something pretty special.
Now, obviously you've worked with a lot of different people as far as tag team wrestling goes over the years, but you've had some really amazing partners in recent memory. What were some of the differences between working with James Storm and Austin Aries?
Well, two totally different wrestlers, really. I mean, Austin Aries is an amazing competitor. A guy that he's more of a high risk guy. A lot of, I don't want to say high flyer. I hate using that term, but obviously, as a smaller guy, has to resort to different things as far as an offense. But James is more of a straight ahead guy, punch kick, brawler, barroom brawler, I like to call him. So two totally different guys, but two very good partners. Austin Aries, I have nothing but respect for him. We had some amazing matches against each other for the world title a couple of years ago. Some of my most favorite matches ever, and tagging with him was a joy as well. I think he's an amazing wrestler. I think that we had a lot of really great chemistry together. Our matches with the Wolves that we had were right up there with the Beer Money Motor City Machine Guns matches we had a few years back. So Austin is off doing his own thing, and I wish him nothing but the best of luck. And right now it's me and James, and obviously Beer Money is a very popular act with the fans, and hopefully we can continue to be popular, and the fans will enjoy the reuniting of Beer Money for a little while to come.
Sure. Now, Bobby, as you mentioned, you were a huge fan as a kid. Who were some of the biggest names that you got to wrestle throughout your career that you never thought you would have gotten to wrestle?
Well, if I'm going to be honest, I mean, there's many guys. I mean, thinking back of to when I was a kid, when I was watching wrestling, God, I mean, the first guy that comes to mind is Hulk Hogan. To be an 8-year-old kid, 9-year-old kid, Saturday afternoons watching professional wrestling on TV and being a little Hulkamaniac, I guess. Always watching Hulk Hogan, and basically, Hulk being a hero of mine as a kid, to be able to step in the ring and at TNA, and at the time, I was a world champion, so there's many times that him and I would stand in there and do a promo on television, and just to be able to work with him was very exciting. I actually had an opportunity on our European tours when Hulk was with us to do a six-man tag at the end of every show as a dark match with myself, Bully Ray, and Kurt Angle against James Storm, Sting, and Hulk Hogan. So that's definitely a career highlight for me, as well as obviously working with Kurt Angle and Jeff Hardy and Sting, and I mean there's lots of guys, the Steiner brothers. James and I got a chance to work with both of them. Of course, Scott was with us, but I mean, the names go on. Booker T. There's just so many guys that I've had the privilege and the honor to be in the ring with. It's been pretty amazing.
Now, obviously, we are looking forward to Global Force Wrestling invading the Northeast here on January 22nd and 23rd. We know you're very busy, so we've just got a few more questions for you, but as you look into the future, you start to see that you've wrestled a lot of places, you've spent a lot of time in this career. Is there something that you have your eye on to do after you finish your in-ring career? Do you want to stay involved in wrestling, or do you want to get away from it totally, or what do you see for the future?
I haven't really put a lot of thought into it. I like to think that I have a few good years left in this business, but I don't know where I would be really without wrestling. I really feel like I've been put on this earth to wrestle and to maybe give back, I guess, what I know. Like I said earlier, I enjoy helping out the younger guys who want the help and come to me and ask me for advice. So I think staying in wrestling and being a part of a wrestling product and helping, in a backstage role or whatever it may be, is something that I probably would be interested in.
Sure. Now, Bobby, we talked a lot about wrestling today. Is there one thing, though, that Bobby Roode does outside of pro wrestling, a favorite hobby of sorts that we might not know about?
I'm a big hockey fan. So, being from Canada, I played hockey my entire life, and I played at a pretty decently high level until I was about 19 years old. And, my son plays at a high level now, and he's 11 years old. So when I'm not on the road and I'm home, I've taken on I guess a bit of a coaching role with the team. So it's fun to get back into the game. This is the first time I've ever been able to, give back to the game of hockey and, teach my son and be able to be with my son on the bench or on the ice during practice and stuff. So, I enjoy hockey. I love watching hockey games. I go to as many, NHL games as I can get to, when time allows, and, just being around with my family, and I don't do a lot of stuff. I obviously go to the gym, and that's kind of my quiet time. That's my me time, I guess, is when I go to the gym and work out. It's something that I've done even before I got into wrestling. So those are my hobbies and things that I love to do.
Awesome. Now, on our show today, we've been talking a lot about the Royal Rumble. As a fan of the business, you said you watch a lot of wrestling. Do you have maybe a favorite Royal Rumble or a specific Royal Rumble moment that you can think of?
Not really off the top of my head. No, I not really. I mean, I watch the shows, but to be honest with you, they all kind of blend together.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that really kind of sticks out. Obviously, I was more of a fan and paid more attention watching to storyline stuff back, when it was like Bret Hart was in the Royal Rumbles and the earlier days of the Royal Rumbles when I was a fan more so. Nowadays, I just watch because I have a lot of friends there. I watch just to kind of keep up with what's going on, and so yeah, just different times. I watch wrestling, obviously. Being a fan, and I'm still a fan, but I'm also in the business too, so kind of watch it for two separate reasons.
Sure.
Awesome. Great.
Now, Bobby, we thank you so much today. We really appreciate your time. Is there places where the fans can keep up with you on social media today?
Yeah, you could on Twitter at Real Bobby Roode. I have no Facebook. I have no Instagram. Just Twitter, so you can follow me there. And obviously see everybody in Poughkeepsie and Rahway this weekend.